Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
Let me tell you, the dopamine, it's flowing.
I am damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh!
Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will, Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
He picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score!
And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome. Wacky Wednesday is back on the Arrowhead Addict channel. I'm Adam Best. Sterling Holmes is here with me. Freaky Friday was fun, right? But I'm really happy to be back on our normal home Wednesday. How are you feeling about it, Sterling?
I'm good. It was too freaky. Plus,
too freaky.
A lot of times on Fridays, it was tough for us to make every single one. So I like Wednesdays better. I like hump day. Hump day. Don't you want to hump us? Wait. Yeah. Hump with us. There we go. That's better. That's better. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, and I like Wednesday because we can kind of look back, we can kind of look ahead, we can kind of be a little bit more evergreen and ask the big questions and do some of the wacky things. I mean, Freaky Friday, we were doing a lot of game previews, but it really wasn't freaky enough, in my opinion. We have a great show for you guys today. We're 1/3 of the way through the season, 18 weeks. We're 6 weeks in. I know there are only 17 games, but this is as close to the 33.3% point as you're going to get. So we thought it would be a great time to step back, grade the positional groups, and kind of see where we're at heading forward. The first thing I want to talk about, though, because there's been panic on these Chiefs Kingdom streets, is Josh Simmons. The situation with Josh Simmons. Andy Reid was asked about it at his presser today. It was kind of cantankerous as he continues to become more and more so as he ages. And he just kind of said, Brett Veach is handling it, right? I'm kind of at a place where this is a really young guy. Clearly something is going on and is being handled. We just don't have enough information. So I'm not at the point of freaking out yet, but where are you?
Yeah, I'm not freaking out. I think the reason why we shouldn't freak out is Jalen Moore is in Kansas City, and Jalen Moore is a good left tackle, and Jalen Moore was going to be the left tackle before they drafted Josh Simmons. So on field, I'm not really worried. Is Jalen Moore as good as Josh Simmons? Maybe not, but I think he's pretty close, and I think Jalen Moore might be better in run block anyways. He looked incredible. If we're looking about, again, on-field performance-wise, that should be Jalen Moore's floor. Jalen Moore didn't know he was going to start until allegedly that day. He had just had his third child, so he's running on no sleep of any game that he wishes, yay, I'm a backup. That would have been said game, yet he was thrust into the starting lineup, and outside of one bad rep against Aiden Hutchinson, thought he looked really good. So I'm not worried about the on-field stuff. I am a little concerned and worried about this Josh Simmons stuff. Again, it's all speculation. No one knows. First and foremost, we want to hear and hope for everything that's best for him and his family, praying for this to be a good situation and nothing horrendous. But it is interesting because when Chris Jones was at a funeral, we knew all the details right then and there. I don't know what's going on, but it's hard not to have at least a little concern for the guy himself, Josh Simmons, just wondering what is happening. End of the day, it is not our right to know. I know we like to believe and think it's our right to know. It's not. It's a personal issue. So we'll find out, but I'm sure at some point we'll find out. But as far as should we be concerned about him missing, an extended period of time? I think the answer is yes. I think at this point you have to at least prepare yourself for that situation because we know nothing. And the fact that we still know nothing on Wednesday, I get not knowing on Monday or even Sunday after the game, but on Wednesday, it is a little weird. When he did say Brett Veach handles that, Andy Reid said that, I don't take that as much of a panic stricken tone as some folk did, because Andy says stuff like that when he's done talking. Andy says Veach handles that when he wants the questions to end. He's like, oh, it's not my job. I don't handle that. Or when the injuries come down and he goes, yeah, I haven't talked to Burkholder yet. Burkholder handles that. You're like, no, Andy, we know you've probably talked to him already. You just don't want to tell us the information. So you just say he handles that. So I'm not that concerned when he goes, Veach handles that in the regard of, you've seen crazy things posted on X, but end of the day, I think that was more of a throwaway line for Andy to basically say, the Nick Saban, stop asking. Okay. I'm not going to answer that. So quit asking.
Speaking of evergreen content, crazy things posted on X. What's new? One thing I would point out about the difference between Chris Jones and Josh Simmons. Josh Simmons is 22 years old. Chris Jones is 31. Think about the gap in maturity from most of us, especially most of us men at age 22 to age 31. You handle things different. Chris Jones has seen a lot more life and a lot more of the spotlight, frankly. So first and foremost, I'm with you. I hope Josh is okay. I hope his family is okay. I hope he is handling whatever is going on as well as possible. But I will say this franchise has had a lot of young men who kind of were going through some stuff. Is probably the best way I could put it, or were hard to handle. Once upon a time, Travis Kelce was not an easy cat to handle. Tyreek Hill, Rashee Rice. So if he is going through something personally, I think this is about as good of an organization in terms of stability, in terms of locker room culture to help him get through whatever he's going through. But we don't know. This could just be a sensitive situation for his family that is ongoing, and privacy could be the reason why this is so hush-hush. We just don't know. It's only been 3 days. If he's still out by the Buffalo game, I'm hitting the panic button with you guys. But before the Raiders game, 3 days in, I'm not ready to do that yet. Let's dive into today's segment, grading the Kansas City Chiefs position groups. Like I said, we're a third of the way through the season, and I think it's just a good time for a quick check under the hood after the Chiefs survived what I think and what a lot of people think was the toughest stretch of the schedule. I feel great about them being 500, given the matchups, everything they've been through. And I want to point out something, and that is ESPN's Football Power Index. Seth Walder, who I think does good work, heads this up. So they do 10,000 simulations after each week to kind of, based on everything that's happened so far and kind of predictive with the schedule that's upcoming. And the Chiefs topped that index at 6.7 points. The next highest was the Detroit Lions at 5.2. And then you had someone at 4.5, like the Packers. And everyone else was in the threes. The Eagles, the Bills, so after all of the shit we've been through and everyone kind of prematurely burying the Chiefs, I don't know, 6 weeks in, I kind of feel better about them this year than I did last year. I know that's crazy to say, but they look dominant right now on offense, and the defense is rounding into form. Last year, it was all kind of smoke and mirrors and luck and just, they were playing better situational football at the end than their opponents. This year, I feel very good about things. What's your kind of like state of the union before we jump into this?
They're a much better football team, I think, this year, at least right now, than they were last season. I think offensively, at least, there's a case to be made that defensively last year they were better, and I think I would definitely entertain that and believe it. I do think the defense was better last year. Special teams was probably, at least kicker-wise, better last year, and we'll get into all of this, obviously, individually speaking. But I think offensively it's night and day. This offense is so much more explosive, so much more talented than last year, which raises the ceiling, I think, fairly dramatically. I think this team is better than last year, which is, again, crazy to say when they went 15-1 last year in games they tried in the regular season. They've already lost 3. It just feels different. It seems more fun as well. Last year felt like a team almost of destiny when you win all those close games. Didn't happen. Still went to the Super Bowl. Still damn impressive. But this year, again, the sustainability, the way they are winning feels way more okay, you start facing these teams in the playoffs, you really like your chances.
Totally agree. Let's start with the offense, and let's start with the offensive line. We're grading on a scale of A+ to F. Man, I think this unit's been pretty good. As worried as we were about Kingsley Suamataia coming into the season and Josh Simmons' knee, I think I have to give them maybe an A- because it hasn't been perfect, but it's been pretty damn good. And as the season goes along, it looks better every week. And when you consider Jalen Moore as a swing tackle is better than any left tackle they had all of last season, any of the 4 guys they tried, you have to feel extremely encouraged. So A- is as low as I can go here. And I think that's trending up.
Yeah, I think A- to A, right in that range, because the first couple games, there was some concern. Mostly with Kingsley, quite frankly. I mean, it was and Jawan Taylor having penalties, but 3 straight games with no penalties. I'm not counting the Tyquan Thornton. That should be on Tyquan, not on Jawan. So I'm not counting that for Jawan Taylor as far as Tyquan covering him up on the offensive line. So that's not on him. He's played well. Trey Smith has improved in pass protection. Creed Humphrey is still the best center in football. Kingsley Suamataia has been really good the past 3.5 weeks. I mean, Kingsley has been very impressive. I'm not just saying it because we're excited about a guy transitioning to guard. I'm talking about just guards in general. Kingsley's been really good. And Josh Simmons been outstanding in pass pro. And then you throw in, again, Jalen Moore, who's very solid in his own right. More of a run blocking tackle, but still good in his above average to average as a pass blocker, at least in the one game we saw. I think did a nice job against Aiden Hutchinson. Again, outside of one play. Yeah, I think A-. I think the penalties early on are still going to drag it down because we have to count that, right? We have to count the first few games of Kingsley, I think, struggling. But overall, I'm a firm believer. And if you look at a lot of the analytics and some of the metrics, they're high on this Chiefs offensive line. I was looking at some today, and they have the Chiefs offensive line ranked in the top 3 in a lot of different categories. And you're like, yeah, I guess that probably tracks. You can tell and understand why Mahomes trusts them now because they're performing. So I'll go A- with you.
I think Jalen Moore might have had a bad rep against Muhammad as well. If my memory serves me correctly, at the very end of the game. But other than that, he was pretty flawless. And you're getting thrown in the deep end against Aiden Hutchinson. A note on Creed Humphrey. He has allowed just 2 pressures on 253 pass blocking snaps this season. His 0.8% pressure allowed rate is the lowest in the league among all offensive linemen with more than 100 pass pro reps. That's from the 33rd team. I think we're talking about a future Hall of Famer here. If you ask me, okay, Chris, Patrick, Travis, first ballot Hall of Famers, all 3 of them are definitely getting in. Who are you putting your money on to be the 4th guy from this dynasty? I mean, maybe Joe Tooney, but he's not part of the team right now. I'm probably putting my money on Creed Humphrey because he's the best player in the league at his position. I think that's been the case almost since he hit the league. I mean, Jason Kelce was still great, but trending down. Frank Ragnow's now gone. He's the guy, man.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to tight end. Man, I'm going to give them a C-, but that doesn't illustrate how I feel moving forward because I think Noah Gray, there's been signs of life recently. Travis Kelce looking more like himself. He had the terrible drop. He ran into Xavier Worthy. You know, that may have cost the Chiefs 2 games. Noah Gray was in the witness protection program, just completely off the map for the first month of the season. So, and then we've gotten nothing out of Jared Wiley or Big Bob Tonyan. So, and we weren't really expecting a lot, but I just think we've seen some signs of life from Noah recently. Last week, I thought he looked better, and Travis is starting to look like himself. So I didn't want to flunk them or anything. Maybe it's a C, but I think you have to take into account the way they started.
Yeah, it's tough because how they're playing right now, it's at a A- level, B+ level, right? I think that how they're playing right now. But if we take in through the third of the season. And again, I even take out the Kelce injury as much. I mean, I don't want to say fluke play. It's the NFL. It is what it is. The drop that turned into an interception counts dramatically against their grade. I'd say a B. I'd probably still at a B. I think Travis Kelce's looked really good, especially the last few weeks, which has bolstered that. And I know people are saying, well, he's not having these 100-yard games. That's not what my expectation was of him, though. I guess if your expectation was he's still a 1,300-yard tight end, then, yeah, you're going to be disappointed. But if your expectations are a 36-year-old tight end who's been very efficient and fairly effective and pretty good in pass block, and run block as well. Noah Gray, interesting, has been good in blocking this year, which has been a different transition of what I expected and thought. Now, Noah Gray has not got thrown the ball hardly at all. That's not ideal. I don't think it's all on him, though. Why throw him the ball when Tyquan's open there deep? I mean, some of it comes down to the receivers are better, so you don't rely on your backup tight end as much. Just how it works. I'll go B. Yeah, the early season, and the drop, especially for the touch, that would have been a touchdown, counts drastically against it. But overall, I like what they've done. I like where they're going, too.
I like where they're going as well. And you hit on the pecking order. I think that's an important thing to bring up because just this week with Rashee Rice back, we're actually going to see the true design of this offense. And as soon as Xavier Worthy came back, Travis Kelce immediately started looking better. And I think that's because Travis Kelce was never intended to be the 1A of this group. I think he wasn't even intended to be the 1B of this group at this age. It's Rice, it's Worthy, then it's Kelce. And I think as the third option, and maybe he's not the third option on third down, but the third option in this offense, he is going to look very good for the rest of the season. And also Noah Gray last year, Noah Gray was never supposed to be a guy, having 500 receiving yards. I don't think that was the plan for Noah Gray. He was featured so much last year out of necessity with Rice gone and Hollywood Brown gone. They just have a much better fleet of weapons than they've had in a long time in Kansas City. I mean, they're trying to get touches for Brashard Smith, and they can't even get him enough touches right now because there's too many guys to feature. And now you throw Rashee in there. And I just think Travis is going to be very dangerous now that teams can never double him. And in fact, I don't even think teams have the luxury of keying on Travis Kelce. So if I'm a C or C minus up until this point, I'm more like a B or B plus, or maybe even potentially A minus going forward. The wide receiver group, I'm going to give an A because the emergence of Tyquan Thornton, Hollywood Brown was injured in the preseason. I just didn't expect us to get a lot from him or for him to stay healthy. He looked like a guy that Patrick Mahomes really trusts as a security blanket last week, even if he is no longer the take the lid off, deep threat that he used to be in his younger years. And then I think Xavier Worthy, we were really worried about that shoulder and if it would compromise him throughout the entire season. And I don't really think it's compromised him at all. He doesn't look like a different guy to me. I mean, maybe you see things differently, but given how Rashee Rice looked in the preseason, and also Juju Smith-Schuster, surprisingly spry, staying healthy, great glue guy in the locker room, hell of a blocker. I just think he is one of those cultural fits you have to have on a dynasty roster, an unselfish guy who doesn't care about the stats or the accolades and is just happy to be along for the ride. I mean, in that locker room interview, the glee he had for Hollywood, Rashee, and Xavier playing together for the first time, which means he's going to get phased out a little bit, but he was giddy about that. And I think that's the kind of culture you need to have. I haven't been this excited about this group since the True Legion of Zoom had those five guys. Really, you had, DeMarcus and Tyreek, McCole, Sammy, and Byron Pringle. I think this group of five rivals that group of five.
I will say from the guys we have seen, I'm giving an A. But, if Rice would have been here the whole time, it would be a lot lower because the expectation with Rice back are they look even better. Tyquan Thornton has been phenomenal. And I see some, well, he's not getting to the ball as much. They still trust him. Yes, they still trust him. The issue is he's wide receiver 5 now. Like, you're just not going to see much. When Xavier Worthy came back, Tyquan Thornton snap counts went way down. And, now that defenses trust that he catches the ball, they have safeties deep, which also now allows the intermediate routes for Kelce and Hollywood to get open. So even when Tyquan's not catching the ball or the ball's not going his way, he's still very effective. Juju's been very impressive to me. Hollywood Brown has shown great hands outside of the first drop of the season. Yeah, I have no qualms with this wide receiver group at all. I see a question from Sean. Will Royals ever see the field this season? If you do, something's gone wrong. Take that back. Either the Chiefs are up 40 points or something's gone wrong and there's been a plethora of injuries. If we see Royals, I would have to imagine something's gone wrong. You don't want to see Jalen Royals this year because that means injuries have taken hold. So that's where I land on that situation. It doesn't mean I don't believe in Jalen Royals, but there's no reason to have him play over Juju, over Tyquan, over Hollywood, over Rasheed, over Xavier. I mean, these are known quantities of guys who are producing. So that's what it comes down to me.
Jalen Royals as your wide receiver 6, a guy that was, I think, like 78 on Dane Brugler's big board. I mean, that's a real luxury. And also, I don't think Tyquan, Hollywood, or Juju are on the books next year. So he still has a promising future. You mentioned drops. That's the one thing I didn't mention about Travis Kelce that affected his grade. The drops have been up. Just quick note there. Let's move on to the running back room. This is kind of a hard one to grade because are you grading the guys like living up to their potential and what Andy Reid is doing with that group? Or are you grading Brett Veach and the room he's assembled, which is obviously subpar? So I don't know which way to grade this because I do think Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt are playing their guts out. You know what I mean? They're just miscast. Isaiah Pacheco is a 2 playing a 1. Kareem Hunt is a 3 playing a 2, right? And then Brashard Smith right now is a gadget guy, and that's all they have. So in terms of the way Brett Veach assembled this room, I'm probably giving him a D. But in terms of this group, how this group has been performing, like judged against their potential, I'm giving them a B. And I think it's been better in recent weeks.
I would give them a C-. If we're talking about compared to the rest of the league and what I think a lot of other guys would do, I would say it's closer to like a D. I think they're doing what they can with what they have. Kareem Hunt, by the way, I think has been fine. Kareem Hunt has been C+, B-, maybe B. I mean, Kareem Hunt has done his job. He's not going to have a ton of explosive plays. He hit the 33-yarder, I believe, as well. I mean, Kareem Hunt, though, is honestly, Kareem surprised me with some of that. But the yards per carry are never going to be great because he's using these 3rd and 2s and third and 1s where he's just trying to get 1 to 2 yards. So his yards per carry is never going to look great. But I think Kareem's been fairly efficient in those touches. I've had no issue with Kareem. Pacheco's looked better. Okay, Pacheco has looked better. But where my concern still is on a lot of these plays where he is getting now 6 yards, 7 yards. I still wonder, I'm like, yeah, but if that was a different guy, is he getting 15? Is he getting 12? Is he breaking that for 81 if that's Bijan Robinson, right? Like, I think the offensive line's given them a lot more holes, and so Pacheco's looking better. Again, I still think against, the Lions, they ran left a lot with Jalen Moore. I thought that was very, very something to watch. When he's in the game, you run behind him. He looks really good, and that means Kingsley. So something to monitor there. But Pacheco's been fine in recent weeks, but it still leaves you wondering, man, what would an explosive guy look like back there? You're right. It's tough to grade because I'm trying to grade him in between my initial thoughts coming into the year, which is this is not a good group. 2, yeah, they haven't been a great group, but it's kind of meeting my expectations, maybe even slightly above my expectations of what I thought they were going to be, which was going to be one of the worst running back groups in the NFL.
Yeah, the Chiefs are top 5 in success rate and EPA per play as an offense. So they're getting the job done. I think the other thing you have to consider is they don't run the ball a lot. They have the highest drop back rate over expected in the league. That means that they're the pass happiest team in the league, and it's really not particularly close. And these guys, because of that, see light boxes. So if this is all that they're doing with light boxes, it does leave some to be desired. And I agree with you. They're just not getting yards over expected. They're picking up what's on the table, but Isaiah he's fast and he's physical, but he just doesn't have a good feel for the position. He doesn't have a good feel, good tempo, good vision, any of those things.
I love their energy though. I know it sounds very like high school, but like I do. I at least appreciate the energy that Pacheco and Kareem bring to the table, because you can tell they're running very physical. They're running hard. They might not be as explosive, Kareem Hunt, or as vision focused in Pacheco, but yet they're going to try their darndest. And at least, on every run, they are giving everything they have.
I don't think these guys as a group are going to be particularly fun to tackle in the winter months either. I'm hoping the Chiefs still do something, even if it's just adding a minor receiving back like Jerome Ford or something. I think they need that. I think they need a true third down back who can actually like bring in the ball and get upfield and make something happen. But if he can prove pass protection worthy and protect Patrick Mahomes, I'm down with that. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this. I think he's the reason the Chiefs are 3-3 instead of 1-5. And he really went into hell or high water mode and just didn't allow them to come out of this split with a losing record. It may not be an A+, but for me, it's an A. You can't ask anything more of him. And I think the best is ahead. This is the best he's looked since 2022. And I think this might be the most complete he's ever looked, because the willingness to run in the regular season, we've never really seen him dip into that bag as much as he is right now.
Yeah, I'll say solid A. Again, there's not much more he can really do. The only reason why it's probably not an A+ is because of one play that Devin Lloyd got him on. I mean, maybe he's missed a couple of deep balls, but then he responded with, the Taekwon deep ball in the same game, very next play. I mean, actually same game, but different time of the game. Doesn't matter. Point remains, Mahomes has been great. He's been phenomenal. He is if the season ended right now, I'd say he's second for MVP. I'd probably put Baker 1. Just not trying to be a homer. I think I'd probably put Baker 1. I'm throwing record into the equation as well right now. Again, if the season ended today, Baker 1, Mahomes 2, Stafford maybe 3, and Daniel Jones surprisingly maybe 4. Point remains though, Patrick playing at an MVP level. It's been awesome to watch this return to gloriousness.
I've got another name just while we're giving people their proper due. Drake May, right?
Oh, yeah. Drake May's been outstanding.
The Patriots are first in the AFC East. That is a true thing that's happened 6 weeks through the regular season, because they beat the Bills head-to-head and they have the same
Imagine
record.
being a Dolphins fan, dude. Dolphins are like, at least we have Tua, and they're going to be without Tom Brady soon. And then they're like, okay, well, we drafted Drake May, and you're stuck with Tua's contract. Have fun.
Would you rather be a Dolphins fan or a Jets fan, though?
Right now, probably Jets. Full transparency. If you said which one, I mean, no, honestly, probably Miami, because that means I live in Miami, and at least I'm warm. But, dude, I think, I don't know, both are a rudderless ship in the night, because the Jets, where's their future? I mean, like, what are they building around? Sauce Gardner? Like, they're building around a cornerback, but then you look
Garrett
at
Wilson. He's
Garrett
a very
Wilson.
good player.
Yeah, but then you look at, you look down in Miami, and you're like, you're about to fire your head coach. Your quarterback's on a second contract that he's not good. Tyreek wants to get out of there, at least it looks like. Devon Achane's great, but I don't know. You look down there in Miami, I don't know. I think both are about of course, they're both in the same division, which means the Bills get a beat up on their asses twice a season. That's 4 wins for them.
I'm probably going to go with the Dolphins because I don't trust the Johnson family. They've been horrendous owners. And I think Stephen Ross at least really wants to win with his behavior and his spending. It's bleak for those two teams, and it just makes me even more thankful to be a Chiefs fan. Let's move on to the defense. But before we do that, we have a little bit of business.
Yeah, and by the way, I saw from Adam, you're right. Dak Prescott's had a really good year too. I'll grant you that, Adam. It's a good call. I'll throw Dak in the top 5. I'll put him in top 5. Yeah, the defense is so bad, but also when your defense is so bad, as we know here, sometimes it can also inflate the offensive numbers. It's a double-edged sword. When the defense is bad, that means a lot of times you get more opportunities because you have to throw late in games. You're not running. It's weird. It's always
no
been.
No CD Lamb though, right?
Yeah, no CD Lamb. At least you still have George Pickens, George Pickens has been incredible this year. But yeah, he's doing with guys like Turpin and Flournoy. I mean, there's been a rotating cast of dudes down there. So yeah, I'm with you. All right, Chiefs Kingdom listeners, everyone, we have something special lined up for all our Arrowhead Addict family. Each month, we're running an exclusive giveaway just for our members. And this October, we've got some fantastic prizes lined up just for you. If you're in our Ring of Honor tier, you're in the running to win a Joshua Simmons jersey. And for all our starting 11 members, we've got a Chiefs baseball cap giveaway waiting for you. All you have to do is be a member of either of those tiers by the end of October. We'll announce these giveaways live on the OG Hour, which is the Thursday show, on the first Thursday of every month. So be sure to tune in, and signing up is easy. Click the link in the description of our YouTube videos. Arrowhead Addict members not only get entered in these exclusive giveaways, but they also get access to a private Discord with the hosts. Special member happy hours are always fun. We drink a lot of bourbon. Fantasy football leagues and a whole bunch more. I'm kicking ass right now. I'm back. Fantasy football in the AA League is back. Just waxed Bryce Carter last week. Going on strong. We'd love to get all you guys to obviously know you guys a lot better. A lot of you have already met a ton of, not just from the Discord, but also meeting up in person a lot of times at KC Beer Co. as well. So what are you waiting for? Don't you want a chance to win and just have some more fun? Become an Arrowhead Addict member now and support the show. Thank you.
Man, I am not doing so well. I think I'm in there's 2 Arrowhead Addict leagues this year, and they're kind of big lineups. So you have 2 starting tight ends. What did I do? I'm like, screw it. I'm going to pick Brock Bowers and Trey McBride and just bully tight end. That has not gone so well. As we know, Brock Bowers has not, really quick, this Raiders offense that the Chiefs are seeing this weekend, I've been a Geno Smith defender throughout the years, and I thought he was pretty good, damn good in Seattle. He looks like the worst quarterback in the league right now.
Yeah.
His confidence is absolutely shattered. I think they might still be down their left tackle. Brock Bowers is out. Jacoby Myers apparently wants to be traded and might be traded, it sounds like. So this is a team in serious disarray. The thought that Tom Brady and Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly and all these people would come in and be stabilizing forces, that hasn't really materialized. I think, man, the Chiefs getting Rashid Rice back against this team, no spread is big enough for me. Let's move on to the defensive line. I'll let you take this one first. Edges and defensive tackles.
D-.
Ooh.
They can't get pressure with 4. Chris Jones has been about a B-. He's been good, but still not quite what we thought Chris Jones is going to be. I know he gets double teamed all the time, and he's such a fascinating player to grade. Chris Jones is, because we know that he's always double teamed. We know he still gets a lot of pressure. Sacks just quite aren't there. I don't really like him lining up outside at edge. I don't. I know that he loves doing it, and the team sometimes likes him going out there. I think he's so much more efficient and effective on the inside. I get the thought process of, okay, now you'll have a better chance of a one-on-one if you're on the edge versus on the inside. I get some of the thought. I don't think he's quite as good on the outside as he is on the edge. I mean, on the inside. So I'll give that. I think Karlaftis has been another intriguing guy. Ton of pressures, not a lot of quick wins though, but he plays a lot and he's very good against the run. He's been a very solid factor for this team. The rest though, oof. Derek Nottie, oof. Charles Omenihu, although I will say Charles is picking it up a little bit the past couple weeks, a little bit, not super quick wins, but still at least bringing the guy down. Mike Dana, Omar Norman-Lott has been injured. Ashton Gelati, ever since the original start he had, has really come back down to earth. And you're like, okay, I see why he's not playing. And Jerry Tillery has not done anything either. it's been Karlaftis being solid and Chris Jones being solid, and that's about it. So it's been about a D-. They can't get pressure with four, so they have to send all these simulated blitzes and pressures, which, by the way, Nick Bolton's gotten very good at, which we'll get on a little bit later on. But yeah, D-line for me, this is the biggest issue for this team going forward, just because we saw against Jacksonville, for example, and even against the Chargers, if you aren't getting pressure with four and you're not sending extra blitzes or extra guys, quarterbacks have all day, and they can eventually find ways to pick apart the defense.
Lucky for us, Steve Spagnuolo is a master at blitzing. And like you said, Nick Bolton, Trip McDuffie, these guys are very good at blitzing. A few thoughts here. Chris Jones did look more like himself. I was really worried because coming into this game, his pass rush win rate was down to 12%. It's usually at 18, 19%, which is as high as defensive tackles get. And I know the sacks haven't quite been there. I think one issue with Chris Jones is early in his career, he got 17 sacks. That was before teams were really doubling him and treating Chris Jones like Chris Jones. And I think it has skewed expectations ever since. Defensive tackles aren't supposed to get 17 sacks. I mean, that's not real. You know what I mean? Like maybe Aaron Donald, like a once in a century freak. And as much as I love Chris Jones, and he might be the best defensive player in franchise history, he's either one or he's two. He's not Aaron Donald. So, but he was getting fast wins last week. He was that swim move, look back, that outside inside move, look back. And what did that do? He was gifting sacks to his teammates. It made Mike Daniel look better. It made Charles Omenihu, who has had some small signs of life, as you pointed out. And George Karlaftis has kind of been, he's going to play a shit ton of snaps and always bring it, be a high motor guy, rack up a lot of late pressures. You wish he would win earlier or show more athleticism. It's just not really who he is. But this group is really thin. And I think that's why you're hearing rumors of guys like Arden Key or Jalen Phillips down in Miami as potential trade targets, because as much as I would like them to get a running back, I kind of feel like the Chiefs can make do with what they have if they have to. I don't know with this group. The other point I will make is the Chiefs were playing with a lead in this past game. And I think when the offense is pouring on points like they are now, and the defense and Chris Jones can pin his ears back, and the defense can just say this other team is being forced to play from behind and be pass heavy, that is when the Steve Spagnuolo defense is at its best. And I think the offense rolling is really going to help this defense going forward, because if they're playing when they've been playing from behind earlier in the season and they don't really know what's coming, they've looked a lot worse.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's hit up linebackers. Sterling, how are you going to grade these guys?
Ooh, man, this is a tough one. A-. I think the linebackers have been outstanding. I'm close to an A. Nick Bolton in coverage has been not great, decidedly ungood, which is funny because I thought Nick Bolton actually in coverage to start the year looked better. And I was like, oh, well, this is a nice little treat. Nick Bolton looks better in coverage. And then he did
hang with Gibbs on a wheel route or something last week.
He did. He's shown flashes at times, but then this I think this past week, for the most part, it was clear what they were trying to do, which was attack Bolton in pass coverage, and it worked. And by the way, not all his fault when you don't get pressure with four. A linebacker hanging with Sam Laporta is gonna get burnt. It's just anyone is. So it's not all his fault, but we know his liabilities in coverage. But he has been really good, in my opinion, getting downhill in the run game. And yeah, as Lauren, who said this earlier, Adam Marshall, Bolton might legitimately be the second best pass rusher right now. Dude, Nick Bolton is, ever since that Ravens game, I'm like, has he always had this? Has he always been able to do this? Because Nick Bolton right now, as a pass rusher and as a little simulated pressure, then drop, incredible. It's been so fun to watch. So yeah, I think Nick Bolton overall, I know some people are going to have their thoughts on him and some of the nerds and the analytic folk, and I don't know. I still think Nick Bolton's a very good linebacker. I think Drew Tranquill's having his best year as a Chief. I think Drew Tranquill's played very good football. Post this earlier. when it comes to run defense for linebackers. He's 11th out of, I think it was 139 players. He has yet to miss a tackle in run defense only. So you're looking at a linebacker core of their main two that are just, they don't miss. If you get hit, you're going down. And oh yeah, Leo Chenal, who is starting to get more involved. We saw him against the Lions, played really well all over the field. 1 to 3. Like, I know a lot of teams might have a better 1-2 linebacker core, but 1, 2, 3, the way they're playing right now, this is one of the best units, linebacker units in football right now. Maybe people disagree, but I just, right now, they're the core, of my opinion, of this Chiefs defense. So I've been very enthused by it.
Yeah, Leo Chenal, I thought he might have been the best defensive player on the field Sunday night. He was incredible. He was all over the place. And there really just isn't another player like him almost in the NFL. He's so unique. And that is one optimistic case for the defensive line, is he's used as a de facto edge at times, right? So he can set the edge there against the run. He can get after the passer a little bit. But Nick Bolton, you're right, has been incredible rushing the passer. I want to know what that dude benches, because his strength is just different. It's just different. You know, the way I remember last year, he basically put Penei Sewell on his ass. Maybe it was 2 years ago. This is just a powerful dude we're talking about. And I think another thing to point out, and really it was the mirror image of the Lions defense that made me realize this. I had kind of an epiphany when most teams are only playing 2 linebackers almost all the time. You look at like the Bills, they just like live in nickel, right? Or dime, you know, sometimes even dime. The Chiefs love to play 3 linebackers. Not very many teams do. They were even joking like this is a 1999 kind of thing. Well, the Lions are the same way. And what happened with the Lions? They had trouble defending the tight end, right? And I just think it's kind of the design of this defense. I know everyone wants to blame Nick Bolton. I've blamed him and the safeties at times. But we've always said on this program that I think Steve Spagnuolo, it's a choice. He would rather make things a little easier for the tight ends and the running backs than the wide receivers when it comes to receiving. He just doesn't want to give up long, explosive plays. So, and I also just think they do a great job against the run. So I'm in agreement with you. This is a solid A. Cornerbacks. Where are you at with the cornerbacks?
You know what? Oh man, that's tough. A-. I've gone back and forth with this one. They had a couple of rough games, but I don't know if it was much them or it was the scheme. The Chargers game is the one that stands out as scheme related almost exclusively. They played soft zone and they haven't really done that since, right? That was more Spags raising his hand saying, yeah, that's on me. That was a bad game plan. We got. We got. And so I'm trying to throw that game out because they've been so good besides that. I know the Jags game was a little hit and miss. There was some just wonkiness in that Jags game. It's really tough to judge. Overall, though, Jalen Watson's playing like a back-end CB1. I think some teams would say, yeah, he'd be our best cornerback on our team. Trent McDuffie is Trent McDuffie. Noah Williams is playing an elite level right now as a rookie. And I love how physical he is as well. Now, I do wonder if they start getting into games where the refs are a little more, they call more things, how that affects him. Will he get in his head? Will it become an issue? Because right now, when you see refs let him play, like they let him play last week, he's great. Like they let him play a little bit against the Eagles. He's great. I'm just intrigued to see what happens if he has to adjust. We'll find out. I guess against the Jags, they called 13 penalties. So that was, I guess, a game where they called a lot and he was good. So I don't know. But he played 4 snaps that game. So it's tough to judge because he wasn't on the field in that game. So who knows how he would have handled that situation. I know Christian Fulton's going to be a situation where people are like, okay, that has to bring it down, right? Well, not really. Because Noah Williams is doing what Christian Fulton we thought was going to do. So overall, you're not going to have 4 cornerbacks really that are going to play at a high level a ton. Like that's just not how the snap count's going to break down. So for that reason, if you're having Christian Fulton be a healthy scratch because your rookie's playing so good, sunk cost, baby. Sunk cost. Let the rookie play. Let him fly out there. So yeah, this cornerback room is playing at such a high level. I'll say A-.
Oh, this is tough. I'm going to go B+ because expectations for Christian Fulton and maybe even Joshua Williams to some extent, who's just been a hugely disappointing player outside of his special teams contributions. But the Chiefs knew Christian Fulton. They knew the book on him. They knew that this is an injury-prone player who has a high ceiling, but his floor is practically non-existent because he cannot stay on the field. So they went in the draft. They found a guy they liked in Noel Williams. And I think if they felt that good about Christian Fulton, they wouldn't have probably even taken him. And that goes for Joshua Williams too. They felt good about McDuffie. They felt good about Watson. But also Watson and Williams not under contract next year. So you have that as well. But also weighing in the end of the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Brian Thomas is a hell of a player, even if he had a slow start to the season. He's an elite wide receiver. And then against the Chargers, I don't know. I think one of the things that happened, and we've pointed out this before, is everyone expected them to be really run heavy. And Justin Herbert came out slinging it. And Quentin Johnston looked like a different human being. And they had Ladd McConkey and Keenan Allen. Looks like he discovered the fountain of youth. So I think they just caught the Chiefs a little off guard on foreign soil, and they recalibrated and have been great ever since. Going forward, I'm going to give this group an A-. I mean, I feel very bullish that this is what Steve Spagnuolo and Dave Merritt do. And if Noel Williams ends up being an oft-penalized player, they can live with that. They lived with that with Charvarius Ward. They lived with that with L'Jarius Sneed. I mean, L'Jarius Sneed was the most penalized defensive player in the league one season, but he also was shutting down Justin Jefferson and A.J. Brown, and the list goes on and on. So if that's the price of being an elite pressure corner in a elite system, you'll take it. That's a trade-off Steve Spagnuolo has been willing to make time and time again. Let's finish up with safeties. What's your grade for the safeties?
B. I think some people are going to vary wildly on this one. I think Shamari Connor's played 4 really good games in 2 pretty bad games. I find myself also saying it's not all his fault. Like, we all see his limitations. He's not a slot corner, at least against faster guys. We all see it. Yet he keeps being put in these situations, and then when he's put in that situation, he loses that rep. But it's also like, we know what he's not. It's like Nick Bolton in coverage when there's 8 seconds to throw. I'm sorry, you're not going to win that rep. And so I don't know how much to put on him versus just the scheme setup. I think Brian Cooks played pretty good. I've been really impressed overall. I mean, some of the highs he's had has been really high. You know, I'll go better. I think Brian Cook's been really good. Jaden Hicks has not played well, and he's not playing much. And that's been a kind of a benefactor for Noel Williams, it looks like now. It looks like Noel's going to start taking more of that role and use Shamari and Brian as your safeties, and then have Trent and Jalen and Noel. It's kind of a little bit of a switch. I think Christian Roland Wallace has been pretty good, right? I think he's been pretty good in his limited amount of snaps. So, yeah, I think safeties are about a B. I think the inconsistency is what has me right now. I think that's probably where I lean more than anything else, is inconsistencies. And Jaden Hicks maybe not taking a step forward like we all thought has brought this down just a little bit.
But I feel great about the secondary when you consider that Christian Fulton's been basically a non-factor, and Jaden Hicks has been, honestly, probably the most disappointing player on this roster so far, because the Chiefs walked away from Justin Reid, who they obviously really like as a leader and a safety, because of the expectations for Jaden Hicks. I think that was a big part of things, and he has just failed to realize those expectations. The warning signs were there, though, when he was not getting as many snaps with the first unit in the preseason and in training camp. People were kind of scratching their heads saying, what's going on? And with these safeties in particular, Spags can be the veteran deference, and he wants those guys really confident in where to be and when to be there and all that. So disappointed in him. Shamari Connor, I've been really hard on him, but I think part of that is he's been miscast as a slot corner. He just does not have the foot speed, as you pointed out. And smartly, Steve Spagnuolo just really did not put him in the slot against Amon-Ra St. Brown. That would have been a disaster waiting to happen. He did not do it. I think he learned from the Jacksonville game, okay, I'm trying to, put a square peg in a round hole. I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to go back to playing Noah Williams. His excuse was, well, these jumbo packages made me want to put Chamari Connor in there more. And Chamari Connor is a hell of a tackler. He in a long line of great Chiefs secondary tacklers, he is one of the best. And we saw that last week. But also you get him on a guy, I think he had pretty good coverage on Sam Laporta, but he didn't know where the ball was. And I think that's where you see some of his limitations in coverage. Brian Cook, if Jaden Hicks has been maybe the most disappointing defensive player for the Chiefs, Brian Cook's been the most surprising, because I thought the guy we saw post-injury the last few seasons was, this is just who we have. Same thing happened with Juan Thornhill. Juan Thornhill looked better before the injury. He got hurt. He was never the same. Kind of thought that with Brian Cook. But Brian Cook, he's looking more like the guy we saw early on in his career as a rookie that we had such high hopes for. And there are even whispers of like, should we bring Brian Cook back? I don't know if I'd go that far. I doubt the Chiefs will do it given their track record with bringing back veteran secondary members, but we'll see. Let's finish up really quickly with special teams. Kicker and punter, I'm just putting them together. For me, this is like a D.
What's hard is Butker's been about a D.
You can grade him separately. You can
I'll go Butker D. I mean, he's not had a clean game yet, but we've seen the highs, the 59-yard fire drill, and we've seen a lot of lows. I'll go D for Butker. We expect so much more. Like, that's what it comes down to. We expect so much more. I know most of the kicks he's missed have been like 50-plus yarders. I get that. But that's also what you're paid for. Like, that's why the highest points. Yeah, but the 50-yarders is like, you're the highest paid kicker in the league. I'm not expecting you to be Eddie Pinheiro. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, you got to be better than that. And so he's been a D for me. A lot of room for improvement. Matt Araiza has been A. I mean, Matt Araiza has – I brought the numbers yesterday on the show. His yards per punt are down 2, but his net yards per punt are up 2. Higher hang time, less returns. Oh, by the way, 0 touchbacks so far this year. 0. We kept saying, can you show more touch? Show us more touch. Last year, his inside the 20 rate was 40%. Not great. This year, it's 60. I mean, I don't know what more you can really ask from Matt Araiza. He answered all the questions I had of, okay, sure, he's got a big leg, but it's inconsistent and he's got no touch. He's shown so much more touch this year. So I want to give a big shout out to Araiza. I know no one really cares about punters that much, but I think he's improved dramatically. Because there was, if anyone remembers, a legit punter battle. The old, they brought in a guy, a really highly touted guy, to push him. And Araiza got pushed, and Araiza's shown why they kept him. So shout out to Matt Araiza for really transforming his game.
The only thing negative I can say about Matt Araiza is you're making it too easy for Andy Reid to take the cowardly way out on 4th and 2. And I don't like that. I would like to see no punts almost ever, but that's just me. I think he's been a lot better. Last year, I was incredibly frustrated with his lack of touch. He just seemed to just rocket it into the end zone every single time. And it was a problem, but it's not a problem. Harrison Butker, however, he is a problem. And this is happening at a time when the league is kind of letting kickers, juice the balls. And it's almost like the steroid era for baseball, right? Like, they're really helping kickers out more than ever. And he looks worse. It doesn't make any sense. All these other kickers are like nailing 60-something yarders, and he really can't get it together. I think the most costly error he made was at the end of that Jacksonville game, giving them the ball in the 40. I mean, incredibly costly, just mental mistake there. And he's one of the leaders of this team. He's one of the core pieces. Strangely, I think Derek Nottie is one of the longest tenured players too, but he doesn't really count. And the core that's been here through the entire dynasty, it's Travis, Pat, Chris, and him. So, if we're going to get on to Chris for not being himself or Travis not being himself, and I'm glad that both those guys are starting to look like themselves again, we have to be hard on Harrison Butker because with big salaries come big expectations. Lastly, the return units.
Oh, return units.
That Jacksonville game, that lowers them a letter grade alone, right?
Well, if we're counting returners, B+. If we're counting, the amount of
Jack
penalties
Cochran.
they've had by Jack Cochran or some of the other penalties, I'd say like C-, C. I don't know. I've been impressed with Nico, and he looks really close to popping one off soon. He's popped off a couple of longer ones. Yeah, the penalties are keeping them down to about a C, but the returners deserve a lot more credit. They've been looking really solid, and I have no issues, knock on wood, about drop punts or some boneheaded plays. I trust him, so that's a nice feeling to have. How long do we think he's going to talk while he's muted?
10 seconds. No, not that long. I'm equally impressed with Nico Remigio. He was instrumental in last year's Super Bowl run. He had a huge return. And I believe the conference championship game, if my memory serves me correctly. And I've always liked what he brings to the table. And I really like that we're not using a guy that we need for the offense back there. I think that's been problematic in the past. It kind of ruined Sky Moore, frankly. I mean, maybe Sky Moore was never a thing that was going to happen in the first place, but it certainly didn't help. I think Dave Tobe, between the penalties and what's going on with Harrison Butker, I'm going to grade him very harshly. I'm going to give him like a D. And I'm going to grade Nico like a B+ or an A-. Harrison Butker is also getting a D. And then Punt God, I'm going to give the Punt God an A. He's shown us why we brought him here in the first place. It's good to have a punter. I mean, we got so used to it, having punters that we enjoyed and never had to worry about. It's nice to be back there after the previous guys we've had. And especially Tommy Townsend was one of the most fun Chiefs we've had in a long, long time. What a personality. That's all we've got for you guys. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us on this hump day. Especially big thanks to the chat. You guys always bring it. If you dig Arrowhead Addict, here's how you can help me and Sterling. Here's how you can help us grow. Subscribe here on YouTube, first off. That way you never miss a show. You never miss a short. We're bringing you 5 shows during the week. We're bringing you pregame, halftime, postgame. Come hang out with us on game days. It's a lot of fun. If you are an audio listener on Spotify or Apple, please consider giving us a 5-star review right now. We're really pushing there, trying to reach more listeners, and that helps us out on their weird algorithms. I can't tell you how it works. I just know that's how it works. And lastly, check out the mothership, arrowheadaddict.com. Matthew, Connor, and the gang always do a great job of keeping you up to date. Join us live next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central right here on the Arrowhead Addict channel. Until then, go Chiefs.